Liam lived for the forgotten. A pragmatic urban explorer, he found solace not in crowds, but in the hushed decay of abandoned places. His apartment, a haven of stark minimalism, held curated relics, a rusted railway lantern, a tattered theater program, a broken porcelain doll. Each piece whispered fragments of past lives. His latest expedition led him to Blackwood Manor, a Victorian behemoth swallowed by time. Legends claimed its wealthy, reclusive family had vanished overnight. Liam, ever the skeptic, saw only enticing folklore. The manor was more dilapidated than he'd imagined. Ivy choked its walls. Inside, dust lay thick as snow, the air heavy with rot and cold silence. He moved through gloom-shrouded rooms, his flashlight beam cutting through the spectral white sheets covering furniture. The only sounds were his boots crunching shattered glass and the distant creak of ancient timbers. And the master bedroom, behind a torn velvet curtain, he found it. A 7-foot-tall antique mirror, its mahogany frame intricately carved with grotesque faces and twisting vines. Unlike everything else, it was pristine, unnervingly clean. Its silvered surface shimmered, reflecting the dim light with an odd, hungry luminescence. Liam saw his own gaunt, wide-eyed reflection. An inexplicable pull, a strange magnetism, emanated from the glass. This was no mere find. It was a treasure. Transporting the mirror was a monumental task, requiring specialized movers. Back in his apartment, it dominated the living room, a grand sentinel opposite his couch. He spent hours admiring it, the way it caught the light, the subtle imperfections in the old glass. The first anomaly was subtle. Watching a movie, his reflection seemed to linger, a fraction of a second behind his head movements, eyes still fixed on the screen before snapping to match him. Tiredness, he reasoned. Then came distortions. Intermittently, his reflection's face would subtly elongate, its eyes deepen, or a faint, imperceptible smirk twist its lips, even as his own face remained neutral. He'd step closer, and it would normalize. A prickling unease began, a feeling of constant observation. Whispers followed. Faint, ethereal murmurs from the glass itself, like rustling leaves or a distant sigh. At night, when the city quieted, they grew. A sibilant hiss spelling his name. Liam. He jolt awake, heart pounding, the apartment silent. His friends noticed a change. Liam became withdrawn, lost interest in hobbies, prone to staring vacantly at the mirror. "You look exhausted," Mark, his best friend, remarked during a video call. "And your apartment's so dim." Liam had started drawing the blinds, preferring the indirect light that seemed to please the mirror. He mumbled about moodier aesthetics, but Mark looked unconvinced. The reflection grew bolder. It would blink a moment after him. Its hand would twitch when his was still. One morning, brushing his teeth, his reflection slowly, deliberately winked. Liam dropped his toothbrush. The reflection watched him, a faint, knowing smile playing on its lips. Paranoia became his constant companion. He covered the mirror with a heavy blanket at night, but swore he heard faint scratching sounds, desperate to get out. He couldn't shake the feeling that his reflection was a consciousness, growing stronger, learning. Waiting point one night, he woke to his name, clear as day, from the living room. Trembling, he crept out. The blanket had slipped. His reflection stood, illuminated by streetlight, its eyes wide, lips moving, whispering. It wasn't mimicking him. It was acting independently. Then the reflection smiled. A slow, malicious grin, stretching its lips too wide, revealing impossibly sharp teeth. Its eyes, Liam saw with a jolt of terror, were not his own. They were dark, ancient, filled with predatory hunger. The reflection raised a skeletal hand, pressing it against the glass. Liam instinctively recoiled. The reflection's lips moved again, no longer whispering. Its voice, dry and rasping like crumbling stone, was undeniably his voice. "It's time, Liam. You're tired. Let me take over." Liam screamed. He snatched a heavy ceramic vase, mind a blur of terror and desperation. He raised it high, intending to smash the cursed glass, to shatter the malevolent image. But as the vase arced downwards, his reflection moved. It pressed its other hand against the glass, and the surface rippled like dark, shimmering water. His reflected hand reached out, piercing the surface, fingers stretching. They were elongated, pale, ending in razor-sharp nails. They clamped onto his wrist, cold as death, pulling him forward with incredible strength. Liam fought, thrashing, screaming, but the grip was unbreakable. The mirror was no longer a flat surface. It was a gaping maw. He felt a horrifying chill envelop him, a sense of being stretched, pulled thin, his essence draining. His vision swam. The last thing he saw, through the shimmering, distorted glass, was his reflection, standing perfectly still, its sharp, dark eyes fixed on his struggling form, a triumphant, wicked smile. Just as his face neared the glass, a sudden, blinding flash of light erupted from the vase in his hand. It wasn't just ceramic. He remembered now it was a piece of ancient obsidian, a gift from an archaeologist friend, said to ward off negative energy. The mirror shrieked, a sound like tearing metal. The reflection recoiled, its form flickering, distorting violently. The cold grip on his wrist vanished. Liam stumbled backward, gasping, collapsing onto the floor. The mirror now was different. The luminescence was gone. The intricate carvings on the frame, once writhing, were now static, lifeless. The glass was no longer pristine. Faint cracks spiderwebbed across its surface, and the reflection was gone, replaced by a swirling mist within the glass. The presence, the cold, the whispers, all gone. He lay there for a long time, shivering, his heart slowly calming. The morning sun, unhindered by the drawn blinds, streamed through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. He was exhausted, psychologically scarred, but alive. He crawled to the mirror, touching the cold, fractured glass. He saw only his own gaunt face, a faint, lingering terror in his eyes. Liam hired someone to remove the mirror. It was buried deep in the earth, far from Blackwood Manor, far from any human dwelling. He sold his apartment, its minimalist decor now feeling sterile and cold, and moved to a bustling part of the city, seeking the comfort of crowds and noise. He still collected forgotten things, but now he understood that some stories were better left untold, some places left undisturbed. He occasionally saw a faint, almost imperceptible distortion in reflections, a trick of the light, but he learned to ignore it. The memory of the mirror would always be with him, a whisper from the edge of madness, but he was free. He had escaped,